All right. Training update. It's been a hot minute. Got a lot to cover, so I'm going to jump right into it. I think the last time I did this was shortly before I went on vacation, which is why I didn't do another one of these. And that's that does make things a little bit more challenging, right? Because I don't have it as fresh in my mind as I would like to, so it's not going to be quite as helpful for some of the stuff that happened. But we'll do the best we can. I still think it's worth documenting. So, where did we leave off? I think I recorded the last one as I was about to do a recovery run, and I had some hit or miss results on my kind of speed work, and that seems to be largely corrected. So we'll jump into kind of the training runs that have taken place since then and kind of break them down individually. So did the recovery run that day. I think I had just realized that I was probably going too fast on my recovery work, caring too much about my pace, not enough just about heart rate. And I was putting that into practice. That still seems to be the case. So I've been much more diligent about not caring what pace I run at and just caring more about my perceived exertion and heart rate. That seems to be a winning strategy. So takeaway for future training programs, make sure I'm doing that. Like do not care whatsoever. I mean, maybe whatsoever is a little strong. Don't care very much about the pace that I'm running on my recovery days. Like just focus on getting in time, miles, and that's it. Like keeping the heart rate low, like almost frustratingly low, because that allows me to recover for the quality sessions. So what were the quality sessions? I did 5-minute intervals and I did tempo miles that week. So again, I think that's the week of the 22nd. 5-minute intervals I ended up doing on a treadmill. Again, welcome to Wisconsin. Super windy that day, like 35-mile-an-hour winds, just not conducive to that kind of a workout. You're not going to learn very much. So I ended up doing them on the treadmill. And this particular workout, the 5-minute intervals, had been a bear. It's supposed to be, but I had been struggling to complete these consistently the way they were written. Kind of feel like I may have slayed that dragon to some extent. That treadmill run went well. As far as I remember, I think I stuck to it exactly to plan. My paces were exactly where they should have been. I wasn't feeling completely gassed every time an interval would end. I felt like I could have probably still kept going. That's encouraging. So that workout went well. Then there was another recovery run. Then the 5 by tempo miles. This one was one I'd almost circle on a calendar. It went super well. And I thought originally I might have been wearing my new shoes that I got for the race. Just in case I haven't mentioned it on this training vlog, I got the Saucony Endorphin Pro 3s recently for the race, and I'd worn them once, maybe twice, and they do feel fast, but man, do they feel fast. That is still the trend. I think I've worn them 3, maybe 4 times now at the most, and man, every time I wear them, I don't care if it's placebo effect. I feel like I'm flying. So early returns are looking good on that. They are tighter on the toe box is the only thing. I just hope that doesn't become an issue, because for the speed gains, man, if my toe hurts at the end of the marathon, fine, I'll take it. If I can get that kind of speed out of it, I don't have to wear them every day. I don't have to, if I have to grit through a little bit of toe pain but still hit my goal, I'll deal with some toe pain. So anyway, the 5 by tempo miles, I don't show that I actually wore them for that. For some reason, I thought I did, so maybe I just forgot to record it. But the times were as follows. So again, for a reminder, I'm supposed to be holding a 6:26 pace for those tempo miles, the mile repeats, if my goal time is a 2:58. if my goal time is a 3:07, I'm supposed to be maintaining a 6:44 pace, I think. Here are the paces I did maintain. And again, no stops, no additional rest. I did it exactly as written, and my miles went as follows: 613.5, 607.5, 606.8, 606.7, 558.7. I smashed it. Like, absolutely smashed it. And I was feeling pretty good. Like, I wasn't feeling like I was overly pushing it. I felt like I was, I was working, I was cruising. But I mean, my heart rates kind of support that, right? So the highest it got was 166. Now, that for me, that's working. I'm not 28 anymore. But that was the last one. So I feel pretty good about that. The other ones were, it crept up as it went along. The first one was a 156, and that one was partially downhill, but I was actively holding back on that one because I was worried I was going too fast. So, man, and then I did nothing but go faster on the rest of them. So that was a super encouraging workout. So that was my my mile repeats. And then after the mile repeats, we had I think just a recovery day, and then we took off on vacation. So we drove to Florida, like literally, I think, yeah, we left in the afternoon on Friday. So I had already done my recovery run. Saturday was a scheduled day off, so that laid up fine. We had always planned on stopping. Drove to like Paducah, stayed overnight, drove Saturday to get to Florida. Long day in the car. Got in at like 6, 7 o'clock at night. Relaxed the rest of the night, but ate nothing but crappy food all day. I mean, that's road tripping for you. And then the next day was my favorite run so far, the one dragon I have yet to slay. Long tempo run. Now, for anybody who knows anything about Florida, it can get a bit swampy. So I'm training almost exclusively in Wisconsin so far. And then I go to do a long tempo run, which has not been my friend so far. And I go to do that, and I think the winds were like 35 miles an hour that day. And it was like 80 to 90% humidity, I want to say. Not super hot, so it could have been worse. Could have been much worse in Florida. But I want to say it was like mid to upper 70s and like almost 100% humidity. Not super conducive when you haven't been training in those conditions. Not to make excuses, they're just facts. But that run once again, did not go to plan. I kind of had a feeling that might happen. So I did try to help myself as much as I could. I did a point to point, and so that I wasn't running into the 35 mile an hour headwinds. Wasn't with the wind the entire time, and the wind actually ended up being less of a factor than I thought it would be, because where I was running was somewhat sheltered. There were a lot of trees, a lot of buildings that kind of absorbed the wind, unlike where I live, where there's no physical features and you get to feel every mile per hour of the wind. That wasn't the case here, so that was actually kind of refreshing. Although I could have used the wind, to be honest. But the heat and humidity did their thing. I mean, it was very unpleasant trying to run in that, and I just couldn't cool down. So I was, I felt like my legs were there. I felt like even the cardio was there. I was just overheating during the run because, the long tempo run, especially in that heat and humidity, I needed to bring fluids with me. And I wanted to bring nutrition with me as well, because I did do it earlier in the morning. And, I got to have somewhere to carry that stuff. So I was wearing, I was wearing a shirt, and then I was wearing my vest, my hydration pack on top of that, and I was just too hot. So I ended up stopping a couple of times just to try to cool down. Well, one of the times I ended up stopping, then my stomach just dropped immediately when I stopped. I'm like, all right. Now let's add on GI distress to the already unfavorable conditions. So I ended up having to get back to the place we were staying and take care of the old GI issues. And then when I stopped, I didn't have that far left to go. So I just lost the hydration vest, lost the shirt, and when I went back out, it was like a whole new world. I'm like, oh, well, I feel way better now, and the paces were much easier to hit. So I am kind of chalking that run up to just unfavorable conditions. And where I'm racing, it's just super unlikely that I'm going to have to deal with that kind of heat and humidity. It's not to say that it's impossible. Anything can happen in the Midwest, but it's just not super likely when you're running along the shoreline of Lake Superior that you're going to be dealing with mid to upper 70s and almost 100% humidity. We'll see. So I'm not reading too far into that one. It's just getting frustrating that I've yet to have a good long tempo run. But I get another chance at it this weekend. So after returning from Florida, sorry, I keep getting distracted because there's so much to cover. But other runs I did in Florida, I did do my 400-meter repeats. Did those in the heat and humidity, and actually, did them exactly to plan. So, I mean, I was hitting the upper level times I'm supposed to be hitting. I think that's 121. I was pretty consistently there. Didn't do any additional rest, didn't stop. I was pretty happy with that one. Those speed workouts, I've definitely, I feel like I've turned the corner on them. They're going much better than they were. I feel better doing them. I mean, I'm not going to lie. Those 400-meter repeats were rough in that heat and humidity, but I did them, and I was where I was supposed to be. Then we go to drive home. Didn't miss a single run on vacation, too. I think that's worth mentioning. We left. I had gotten in my recovery run. Then we left, drove halfway, or a little over halfway, got back to Paducah. Got back in the car the next morning on Friday, drove the rest of the way, got home at like 4 o'clock on Friday. I immediately had to get my son in the car and drive to a soccer game, which I had to coach. When we got back from that, I still had my 5-minute intervals to complete. Knocked those out, and all were where I was supposed to be. That felt pretty good. To have a long day of driving, coach soccer, then knock out that workout and do it pretty business-like. That's encouraging. Again, like I do feel like I've kind of turned a corner with those workouts. They seem to be going well. It doesn't seem to matter if it's the 400s, the 5-minute intervals, or the mile repeats. I seem to be hitting all of those workouts right now, and that's super encouraging. But I gotta see it happen with the long tempo run now. That's the only dragon to be slain. So I'll get a crack at it. Today's run, I was supposed to do mile repeats yesterday. That didn't happen because I had a customer event I had to go to. It just didn't work out. So that I think is the first run of any kind I've missed this training period, which is also pretty good. So basically I was going to do the mile repeats yesterday. I'm just going to do them today instead and have it be a recovery run that I'm missing. Not super worried about that. Ideally you want to get in all the miles if possible, but no marathon training plan ever goes perfectly. So the other thing worth noting, my left ankle is still bothering me. It's been bothering me basically this entire training period. And that leads me to believe that's just going to be the case for the rest of this time and the race. Like, if it hasn't gotten better by now, it's probably not going to get better. Knock on wood, so far it's not really bothering me while I'm running. It's mostly when I'm not. So I hope that trend continues. I just hope I can get through the rest of training and the run without actually injuring myself, and then I can take the time to get back to 100% if that's even possible at this age. But as close to 100% as possible. So that's where we're at. Mile repeats today. Then I think I have 400s on Friday. Everything else is recovery. And then long tempo run on Sunday. Knock on wood, at the moment, the weather looks like it's going to be decent for that. It would sure feel good to be able to record my next update and say that that went to plan. So that's what we're hoping for. I'm circling that date on the calendar. We shall see. Until next time.